Thanks for joining me today at Learnwake. I'm Brandon Judd, and I'm responding to a video analysis request uploaded by Peter here. And this is on an overcooked heelside back roll. I apologize if I chuckle a little. The fall is really spectacular. So honestly, this is a really good back roll, just too good and too loaded up and too overcooked to where you ended up landing really hard on the side of your body. So before we watch this, let's go through the submission that you sent us. So you say here, I normally land these pretty easily, but I changed boards to one with more channels and probably a faster board. Also think I did not do a progressive pull here, maybe even the reverse of a progressive pull. Just wanted to submit it to see what other critiques you have about why this happened and while my ribs heal. um, so yeah, sorry about your ribs. So let's take a peek at this, so everyone can see this overcooked. Ooh, back roll. Oh, almost hurts to watch. Uh, I can't say I've not done this before. I've done some back rolls off the double up that I accidentally overcooked. So um, this is not uncommon, especially if you're on a board that rolls onto edge really quickly, um, and holds edge really, really well through the wake. Plus, it looks like you have a really big wake. This looks really, really fun to ride and really big. So um, switching boards is definitely going to affect a lot of things. So let me explain a little bit about board shape. I'm not sure what board you have, but sometimes depending on the shape of your board, if it has a really wide tip and tail and a really thin rail, um, and a really like flat um, arc from like if you were staring down at your board from the bird's eye view, and I'll kind of draw some arcs here. So if it has a lot of arc, it won't be quite as like hooky and fast on edge. But if it's really straight, um, on the side cut, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry for that. Sorry about that. Like if the side cut of your board is really straight, it's going to hook an edge and fall onto edge harder. So when you start really tall like this and start loading up the line, um, your if your board is built like that, I'm not sure exactly what board you have on, but depending on the shape of your board, falling onto edge really quickly and easily can be pretty aggressive. I'll give you an example. The CWB's, the standard Josh Twelker's board, when I first got on that, when I was testing it for Wakeboarding Magazine, this is what happened to me a little bit unintentionally. I had to kind of purposefully slow down the initial approach into the wake, and it if you watch Josh's riding, it really matches that really well. So I just had to adjust a little bit to get used to it. So it just looks like you haven't gone through an adjustment period with this yet. So it's forcing you on edge too hard, too fast, and then what happens is because you've fallen onto such a hard edge, I mean, you are cranking into this like a double back roll. I mean, this is a unnecessarily hard edge. So you could take this and dial it back by about half, um, and then you stand up really nice and tall through the wake, get a lot of push. You're almost over, like you're flipping too quickly here. So you'll see that the board's edge is razor thin, and what that means is that you're already releasing the board behind you a little bit. So you did do a load and release. It was just earlier than you probably usually do because it pushes you onto edge quicker and then causes you to release quicker. And with this much wake pushing your feet out behind you, it's going to accelerate your flip really, really aggressively. So if we look at that, you'll see the board just gets flung out behind you almost uncontrollably. And then you finish the flip completely. The water should be here. And then you shot just past the wake a little. Um, and because of that, instead of landing with your tail on the top of the wake and then being able to kind of ride it down and let that slow you down to the bottom of the wake, what ends up happening is because the tail of your board doesn't touch the wake to slow you down, you keep flipping until you touch the water down here. And with a big wake, there's a really big distance between the trough here and the peak of the wake. So you end up falling another 2 or 3 feet um, to the water before your board even touches the water, which is right about here is when it touches the water, and you're already, a good halfway into your or a quarter way into your next flip. So um, that's why the impact was so significant. And honestly, it looks great if you were to just try half as hard, like if you were just kind of half asleep doing it, and if you'd be really patient. Um, it also flips you really fast. If you look back here, it's going to flip you really fast because of how thin this is. I want to show you Kyle Schmidt on his back roll so you can see what his board is doing. Look how patient he is for so long. He's saving his edge. He doesn't really fall into a crazy hard edge at all. It gets a little hard right here, but not crazy. Nothing like yours. And then when his board is halfway through the wake, see how much of the bottom of the board we can see here? This means that it's going to push him up without flipping him so fast. If we go back over to yours and we look at this, you'll see that your upper body is already into the flip further than Kyle's was, and you can't see any of the bottom of the board, which means that you're releasing already and it's going to flip you faster in a less control, um, and you won't get quite as much pop as you would have gotten had you waited. So if you just tone down your edge a little bit on the approach and then save your hardest lean for a little later, you'll go up a lot higher than you even did on this one, and then you'll drop out of it nice and slow. Um, it's just hard to mentally get yourself to be that patient with a big wake like this because there's so much time you're edging through the wake. You have to just wait and wait and wait. Even some of the pros will, accidentally go too early on some tricks and have to retrain themselves and convince themselves mentally to be patient. I know I do whenever I ride a big wake. I'm always focusing on being as patient as possible through the wake because it's easy to get anxious and try to push your board through it quicker than it needs to be. So um, hopefully that makes sense. I know we covered kind of a lot of little things here, but it looks really good. Your fundamentals look really good. It looks like this is normally a great trick for you. So tone it down a lot. Once you get it consistent, you can even tone it down less and less and start using more legs. And then you can take that up even more straight up and then a quick flip and then back down. And when you do it that way, you'll be able to grab it and then add extra rotation to it and be able to play around with that a bit. So keep us posted on your progress. Hopefully your ribs heal up soon, and we'll see you around the site.